Last month, while I was riddled with fucking microphone issues that apparently fixed themselves whenever I put it into my PS4, well-known primarily Gran Turismo YouTuber MattJ155 was premiering a video about 20 more Easter eggs and secrets in the Gran Turismo franchise. As someone who's been watching him for quite a while, I of course received it in my recommendations, so I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the YouTube algorithm for doing its job for a change. Before the premiere, I spotted two things in the description. Credits being given to a GT Planet thread, as well as a timestamp about names on the Ford GT LM race car Spec 2. Clicking the GTP link, after making sure to use the Opera browser's built-in VPN of course, revealed that yes, this was most likely going to be talking about why it apparently lists Klaus Ludwig and Ricardo Sonta as its drivers. An ancient find of mine that I posted to that thread, and while there at the time was talks about someone living in the same city as Sonta and they might ask given the chance, I at least never heard anything back. Which means this still only makes about as much sense as my theory on how it's a cheeky nod towards the CLK-LM, which was previously cut from Gran Turismo 2, making its debut in the same game where the GT served as the so-called hero car. This isn't my place to say that the comment I made explaining this all is criminally overlooked, but I am saying that as of the time of recording, it has a grand total of 1 reaction. Wait, did I say this find was ancient? I mean, it's only from 7 years ago. The world before Need for Speed 2015. How I miss you. Anyway, this research session immediately triggered some kind of nostalgia overload, and I'll gladly admit that I spent more time than I probably should have just reliving those good old days. The guess the car threads where I'd come up with convoluted answers the Riddler would be proud of. The image captioning threads which somehow spawned a too-short spell of sapient, middle-aged, Brit-eating McLaren F1s. All sorts of fun things. Then I decided to do my every now and thenly check-up on the state of the GT Sport forums, and it all came crashing down. The memes thread had died, and even then the content was subpar quality for the most part, instead being replaced by the usual discussions about sim breaks, daily races, and all that. And going into the online racing forums, it's mostly the same old, there's some Super GT, GT500, an awful lot of Group 3, there's an occasional appearance of Group 1 and Group 4, and if you look hard enough, maybe you'll spot a collection of ultra-creative one-makes, such as Super Formula X 2014 Junior and various Porsche 911 models. And ultimately, that's fair enough. I mean, all of those are kind of the point of GT Sport, but while GT7 is looking good so far, I just can't help but worry that this has put the fanbase down a path of no return. Go ahead, call me alarmist if that's what you want. Ask me if I give a shit. All I'm saying is that I'm worried that polyphony and more pertinently the player base has forgotten what it's like to just have fun. And now for some icing that definitely isn't jizz on my cake. Back when I still tried to do online racing series, I hosted a little thing called the Clubman Cup. A selection of 6 cars to choose from, roughly 200 brake horsepower, on sports tires. Sure, you won't be breaking any lap records with these cars, but they can be pushed to their limits while still being fun to drive. All of which, I'm told, are words that also apply to the darling Master Roadster not at all a race car. So explain to me, how come racing series using that can draw massive attendance? While I get stuck with a handful of admittedly some of the coolest people I've ever raced with, and a couple of, and there really is no other word for them, tryhards. Judging by this little thread I found, which is basically an open N300 thing, it's one of two things. Either I somehow managed to never ever pivot my events enough to the heavy America basis on that site that refused to be in any way flexible when it comes to timing and thus Europe has to go sleepless, or there simply isn't enough street cred in an event with my name on it. I bet it's the "oh, you're not in a named organization" thing again. This isn't me complaining that a group of people deciding they really like racing with each other is bad, nor is it me saying that I hate race cars in GT as a construct, far from it. but it does feel a little bit like you're being shot in the back of the head, given a new pair of concrete shoes, and then dumped in the river when, on a public forum as big as GTP, you can have two pretty much identical racing series that go beyond just being Group 3 based Racing Series number 12, and the success and failure of either of them depends entirely on their pre-established social circle. This is how adulting works in real life big business. Because they all know that if one of the pigs squeal, everyone's going to the slaughterhouse. Am I right, Activision and Ubisoft? Is this really how we want casual weekday night racing series to work? And now, to stop people calling me alarmist over things that don't matter, allow me to be alarmist over something that does matter. Car Mechanic Simulator 2021 is a decent little game. Lots of cars, lots of things to do with them, and a second generation BMW M5 being called a Sentinel like we weren't going to notice that. It also had Day 1 DLC, which in a way made me reminisce about the days when the worst a game company could do was lock away content to be sold as additional DLC the moment the game released. Not that it's any less shit of practice now, but it's weirdly refreshing to see games not go any further down the new capitalist's playbook. Oh god fucking damn it, here we go again with the somewhat monthly Pisscoloured Drilldozer. I was going to give it to video games as a concept and joke about how ironic it is that our escapism comes about under inexcusable work environments and is nothing but a distraction from the fact that nothing's being done to try and course correct us away from the heat death of the planet. And then, Actipolis went and committed labor violations to try and stop their employees talking about labor violations. You know, when I started doing this award, I figured, hey, it'd be a nice round trip of all the bullshit that happens in the world of video games and I can help spread that wherever I can, but hot damn. I figured Activision Blizzard for slots, but I didn't know they wanted my dick that bad. Pack tactics. Union up, everyone. You can't possibly get it any worse than you have now. What's that? You thought these stupid outros were over with? Oh, you silly bugger. As part of me distancing myself as much as possible from video game companies that don't treat their employees right, I'd like to present to you my legally distinct OC Do Not Steal GrooviTunes. And if you've heard this first one from the same game as I have, I'd like to recommend you watch Hell of a Boss. I mean it, I discovered that series late August and I've already watched it 10 fucking times, please send help.
This is the love we're making. This is the love we're making.